and wrinkles.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work after your first application. Call the number on your screen.
Call 1-800-854-0295.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
Hey everybody, welcome to Breaking Point. I'm David Zere. You're watching Real America's Voice News. I've had such an exciting 3 weeks. I've been all over the Midwest and the southeast of the United States, Fort Bragg, Orlando at Spacecom, in Iowa, Clive, Iowa, outside of Des Moines, Donald Trump covering him, coming out for the midterm races, really important stuff. And also, I was on the ground 2.5 weeks ago in Minneapolis. And you got crazy people out there. They're definitely crazy, but they want civil war. It's just plain and simple. Not everybody, but their behavior was atrocious, and I was trying to keep it civilized. And we were attacked, assaulted, surrounded, throwing stuff at us, trying to break the windows of our van. It was really crazy. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But I just wanted to say that I'm very grateful for Real America's Voice News for giving me these opportunities. It's a front row to history. And also, I love meeting with the great people across the country, the small business owners, the people who never ask for anything, the diner owners. I love going to diners with our camera crew. Brandon Jarvis has been with me a couple of weeks, of the last few weeks. Really exciting. I've got great stuff coming up next week. I can't talk about it now, but you'll see next week. Very exciting what's going on here. But the only one I see that's making it easier for people out there is the GOP and Trump. It's not coming from the Democrats. The average refund is going to be like another $1,000 in the pockets of Americans when they do their taxes in a couple of months. And there's jobs being created. And the economy's growing over 5%. It's amazing. Now, we haven't seen it yet because, I'm here in the Northeast, it's still cold. Home heating oil is still at $4 a gallon. It's atrocious. But I've seen gas as low as $1.95 in the Midwest. So it's going to come down. It's going to take more time. I hope it's in time for the midterms, because the Democrats will set back this country if they take back Congress. And this isn't a political thing. This is what's going to happen. If they take back the House, and God forbid they took back the Senate, they're going to make it a living hell for the president. And they're going to reverse all this stuff, and stuff that hasn't been codified yet in executive orders. But one thing, thank God Trump's executive order on defense acquisitions was codified in the NDAA with bipartisan support in the House Armed Services Committee and in Congress. That was important because I've been spending a lot of time. I was at Fort Bragg with the Joint Innovation Outpost with the 18th Airborne Corps and the commander, Lieutenant General Greg Anderson, for the opening of the new Lieutenant General James Gavin Joint Innovation Outpost, cooperating with private industry and academia to get our war fighters the equipment and the defense systems and the weapon systems they need at speed and scale. I covered the Navy Rapid Capabilities Office launch under John Phelan, who's an amazing individual, along with companies like Palantir for Shipbuild OS, so we can start delivering ships. We haven't been delivering ships, and a lot of stuff going on in that category. And I have a surprise for you next week, and we'll talk about that more. But the local and state governments, the tax liability is suffocating to the average American. And when you turn around, and by the time your homeowner's insurance, which is $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a year easily, it was $700 when I bought a house in '97. Now I'm paying $4,500. It's crippling. It's crippling for seniors, people on static incomes, retirees, first-time home buyers, and then take the local tax burden, right? You're paying $1,000 a month in taxes here, $7,000 a year on average on Long Island. I'm paying $13 for a quarter of an acre. Every time you wake up, it's $1,500 before you paid your mortgage. So if rates don't come down back to 4%, we're going to struggle. And now things are going to get better. There are more jobs. There's $19 trillion in investment in manufacturing and stuff coming back to the United States. It's going to be a very good time in that regard. But the overhead is still crippling for the average American. We got to fix it here. And Trump was out in Clive, Iowa last week. I covered him speaking at a conference center. And it was a packed house, a lot of people. I spent a lot of time in Iowa on the ground. I spent probably a month total between the 2020, 2024 Iowa caucuses, the elections, the presidential elections. I love the people of Iowa. It's like my favorite state. Iowa, nice. And these are great people, the hard-working men and women over there. And the GOP's fourth quarter haul, for vulnerable toss-up GOP seats, according to the Cook Political Report, was larger than the Dems, their opponents, this past fourth quarter of 2025, averaging about 780,000 in their haul versus 710,000 average for the Democrats. But the Dems are still poised to take back the House. Got to get on this right away. So Trump was in Clive, Iowa to back up Marionette Miller Meeks in a very liberal, moderate district in Iowa. In the first district, third district, Zach Nunn. He's a conservative guy, but some MAGA people aren't happy with him. But he does represent the farmers, and he's doing some good things out there. And Miller Meeks also trying to get this E15 approved, which will help the farmers, the corn farmers, and the people at the gas pump. It could be 15 to 30 cents cheaper. Now, you can't use this fuel in your lawnmower, but if you have a car made after 2021, it could be very beneficial at the pump. And most people lease their cars now, so it's like, it's not as bad. You don't have to worry about gumming up that engine too much, right? But I got a great show for you today. We got so many great guests from the Washington Examiner. I've got Kaelan Deese from the DOJ reporter for the Washington Examiner. I got Anna Giaritelli. She's a Homeland Security reporter with the Examiner. And then I got Todd Wood from CDM Press, working on a lot of Department of War issues, really getting traction over there, explaining to the American people that what Trump is doing, what the military is doing, they got rid of the DEI stuff for now. And it seems like they're all in unison in the branches. And my interview with the Space Commanding General, Stephen Whiting, 4-star general last week, was just stellar and eye-opening because, we have threats in space, hunter-killer satellites. The Russians may have a WMD in space. The Chinese may have a terrestrial-based laser weapon that can be used against our satellites in lower orbit. And we got to move everything up to geosynchronous levels. It's GEO, MEO, and LEO. The low orbit stuff is vulnerable. But right now, I want to get to an interview I did with the great men and women of the U.S. Space Force recruiting at SpaceCom in Orlando, Florida from last week. These guys are salt of the earth. I love talking to them. And watch this. Great men and women of the U.S. Space Force are here, and we have Tech Sergeant Travis Dowd. How are you, sir?
I am great.
Good. How do you like SpaceCom 2026?
It's been a great experience, meeting a lot of different people, especially with the interest of what we're looking for when it comes to Space Force recruiting.
So I interviewed the kids at the first robotics competition. They're like 14. They're like geniuses. You're going to head over there and recruit them?
We have actually already talked to them. There are a couple over there that are like seniors in high school. So.
Very, very cool. So tell us a little bit about Space Force. I interviewed General Stephen Whiting, the head of U.S. Space Command. Now, Space Force is the personnel that gets used, right, in the different branches?
Yes, so Space Force is obviously our newest branch, about 5 years old. It's on the way of changing what we see today when it comes to military operations. They are controlling everything from our satellites in space to engineering them and protecting our access to space and our assets that we have.
Really critical now. It seems like maybe 10, 15 years ago, the threats weren't as real as today. China maybe has a terrestrial-based laser that can hit our lower orbit stuff. We've got maybe hunter-killer satellites and can dismantle satellites up there. Maybe Russia has a WMD that can knock down our stuff. So what's the role of Space Force? What kind of training do your troops get?
So a lot of the training is based around cyber intelligence and space operations. The cyber career fields are anything from, to making sure our satellites are good to go and doing what is necessary to defend our nation. The intelligence is gathering intel to make sure we know where specific satellites are, where our satellites are, and getting information to the correct people.
And Space Force, you've played roles in other things like Maduro in Venezuela, the Iran bombing, and other things. So do you work in like a kind of a SOCOM aspect where you can work jointly with other branches?
So yes, that's what we'll provide with what we have with satellites in space, is the information they need to be able to do their day-to-day jobs.
How many soldiers are there in Space Force?
So Space Force, we have our Guardians. There's a little bit over 9,000 at this point and continuing to grow.
Okay, and where does somebody go if they're in high school or are aspiring to be in the military? This is probably a really cool sector to be in, right?
It is, yes. So every Air Force recruiter is also a Space Force recruiter, and we can recruit for between the ages of 17 to 42.
You have a website?
Spaceforce.com.
All right, sounds good. Everybody, Travis Dowd, Tech Sergeant, U.S. Space Force, thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, have a great show.
As countries have walked away in the past few years from the U.S. dollar, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, diversify into gold, into birch gold. And for over 5,000 years, gold has withstood inflation, geopolitical turmoil, and stock market crashes. And the great news is you can still get it. In fact, you can own gold and silver in a tax-sheltered retirement account. Birch Gold makes it easy to convert your IRA or 401k into an IRA in precious metals. And all you got to do is text the word America to 989898 to claim your free info kit on gold. With 20 years experience converting IRAs and 401ks into precious metal IRAs, Birch Gold can help you protect yourself with gold today by texting the word America to 989898 with an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, thousands of happy customers, and countless 5-star reviews. Secure your future with gold. Start today with a free info kit. Again, there's no obligation. Check it out. Make the request. Just text the word America to 989898. We'll be back with more Breaking Point right after this.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
Attention homeowners. Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Is the bank threatening to take your home? Is your home worth less than you owe? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need to call this number right now.
Call 800-714-8615.
Kevin paid off over $12,000 in credit card debt with the help of Consolidated Credit. They cut his interest rates and lowered his payments so he could pay off his debt fast. Call 800-596-8062 for a free consultation.
Do you suffer in pain? Are you stiff and less flexible? Do you have trouble sleeping? Are you less active than you once were? Introducing the Easy Well Remedy Massage System that combines the incredible effects of vibrational therapy, targeted deep tissue shiatsu massage, plus soothing infrared heat. A triple fusion of therapeutic experiences delivering health-boosting treatments to your body. Full-body vibrational therapy increases blood circulation, bringing relief to joints and muscles and reducing inflammation while supporting your overall mobility. Look at these beads moving from the powerful vibrational motors.
It's amazing. It's like a 1,000 little fingers just vibrating my body from head to toe.
Infrared heat penetrates deep to relax and soothe your body, reducing joint pain and stiffness and increasing circulation.
Remedy gets in there and helps deal with the source of the pain, so you feel much better.
The Ultra Shiatsu pillow with 6 infrared heated nodes is designed to mimic a professional massage specialist's hand kneading and working tight muscles in just the right way to bring maximum relief and pleasure. It is even detachable, allowing you to get a deep tissue relief in your upper and lower back, neck and shoulders, feet, calves, or anywhere on your body.
I can't even describe to you the feeling. It's just something that you're gonna have to feel for yourself.
Call or go online now to receive the Remedy Massage System. Your system includes the Zero-G memory foam layer, the vibrational infrared and ultra shiatsu therapies, the removable shiatsu pillow, remote control, and a convenient carry bag free. Just one massage visit can cost almost $100, but you can own the Remedy Massage System and have as many therapeutic treatments as you want. The sooner you order, the sooner you can experience the true remedy for your pain, stiffness, and stress. Call now.
Welcome back. You're watching Breaking Point on Real America's Voice News. I'm David Zere. We have a very exciting announcement. Amazon Prime will be broadcasting on there in a distribution deal. We'll keep you posted with more information. And right now, I want to get to our next guest. I love talking to this guy. He's on the ground. He's in D.C. He's following issues all over the country for DOJ, and he is the DOJ reporter for the Washington Examiner. That's correct, Kaelan?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Kaelan Deese, everybody. A lot happening across the country. Why don't we start with this extraordinary thing that's transpired with the raid in Fulton County, Georgia. Is there going to be accountability for what Fani Willis and everybody did down there finally?
I think if you pay attention to what the tone was like during the raid from the Fulton County officials who were there on site watching the FBI taking out droves of boxes and looking at ballot machines, it sounded like a funeral from their perspective. And I think that it kind of gives a little bit of that tone indication that the officials over there are quite alarmed by this. They're, of course, hedging it as a threat to their democracy. But, someone once told me, actually, someone who works within Fulton County said, never chalk up nefariousness to what could otherwise be ascribed to incompetence. But in either regard, it's a terrible atrocity what's taken place in Fulton County with the management of the election systems there. We found out in December there was that issue with the ballot receipts that were taken account of, and obviously there was no signatures that were found on those tabulator receipts. And the problem with that is that those receipts accounted for 315,000 ballots. Right now, the county is staring down the barrel of upwards of $1 million in fines for that error that they did. And that's just really the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's a real reason why the FBI would want to do something like this. And it kind of goes, back to what the DOJ's broader effort has been over the past year, dating back into 2025. Just how much they're focused right now on getting an account of this election information that's coming, voter roll records, things like that they're trying to get from some of these recalcitrant Democratic states. But the Fulton County raid was definitely perhaps the tip of the iceberg. I'm not saying no to potentially other raids that could come down the pike as well.
Now, Fulton County, as of a few hours ago, was demanding those documents back. What is the potential outcome here? Does this vindicate anybody like Giuliani or anybody? Does it? What can come out of this?
So it really is one of those things where we're not quite sure about the implications as far as like some of the folks that were dragged into those terrible lawfare suits, such as Giuliani, which fortunately it seems like things are sort of on the up and up with that, but he's still, has suffered terrible, having his name dragged through, the press headlines and things like that, all over concerns that seem to be almost vindicated at this point, just on the basis of there being a need for the FBI raid. I mean, the court approved this raid. And now we're looking at potentially there being hearings in the future. The county is trying to ask a judge for this material back. So that's sort of the next juncture that we're at. But I mean, and the way that it, relates to all the other matters that you just referenced, I mean, I think it definitely is beginning to show that anyone who was essentially mocking or, taking people to the court for every penny that they own, such as Giuliani's case, I think that it's showing that those people were, rather than, looking in their own backyard, trying to, point the finger and trying to distract from what is actually going on the ground in Fulton County.
Now, this information collected by DOJ, what would it go before a grand jury and there would be a decision to indict if they can get a majority? Is that what happens in the federal side?
Yeah, exactly. This information is being collected here for the purpose of a potential criminal investigation. We don't know yet if there, is going to be criminal indictments, but there is certainly a lens that this is being looked into for potential criminal violations. But you're precisely right about this. There would be evidence that gets presented to a grand jury. The FBI would pass along the evidence that they find relevant to the attorneys, the prosecutors, and they would be the ones charged with making a presentation to a grand jury there in federal court. And they would then have to decide if, a grand jury would decide if there's anything to prosecute. As far as what could actually, be prosecuted on this, I mean, I think that there's definitely chances for potential I think as far as conspiracy against rights of voters, that's not been, put forth by the Trump administration, but just looking at the basis of this, I mean, I think that when you're talking about ballots that were signed off on, or that ballots that were still counted, yet there wasn't any actual signature verification of someone that took account for those. And you have the Secretary of State saying that that was all fine and dandy. I think that there's a bit of a need for a magnifying glass on that particular claim. And I think that that's potentially where some of this is focused on.
Yeah, and Raffensperger running for governor, right? So we'll see what happens with that. Let's shift gears to Minneapolis. Tell us about what's going on the ground over there.
Yeah, so we saw today that decision that was made and announced by the border czar, Tom Homan, sort of winding back around 700 immigration personnel on the ground. Yeah. But the look that I've been taking on Minneapolis is a little bit more focused on what's going on in the U.S. Attorney's office there. Part of my investigation has been, looking and seeing, what at all is the U.S. Attorney's office doing with this groundbreaking amount of fraud allegations that sort of tipped off the Minnesota becoming a national news story. And also what is taking place currently with ongoing fraud investigations. The gist of this is that there's a bit of a dilemma right now with certain prosecutors, some of them who have been there for a long time, taking a bow out, leaving the office. We saw that earlier last month with one of the lead prosecutors that was that just announced a recent fraud indictment in December that involved Medicare fraud. That individual is no longer with the U.S. Attorney's Office. And we're also seeing reports this week about additional departures. One of the things that really sort of gives you an idea of how dire the situation is that the last I reported, which was this report that came out on Monday, there was not a public information officer even stationed at that U.S. Attorney's Office. And that's a problem for us because we can't get all the information that we need about, simple questions like, what is your all's office doing with some of these fraud investigations? So if anyone has a question right now about why there hasn't been any new major fraud busts coming, part of it is that fraud cases typically take a longer time to investigate before any charges are announced. That's a normal sort of course of action. But the other thing is that there might be, at least in the interim, a bit of a holdup on being able to run some of these investigations out of the office simply due to personnel losses. And that's not a good thing across the board. So the DOJ, I think is, doing everything that they can. They just announced, this new appointment, this sort of overarching, fraud attorney that's going to be handling, fraud matters on a national level last week. But that doesn't really, that's just sort of, addressing the issue that we are going to be tackling fraud on a national level. That's a promising sign. But if the local offices are lacking personnel, that's definitely a negative sign. And they need to be, dragging all resources that they can to, fill these spots, even if they're on a temporary basis. Even maybe assigning some attorneys from the DC main office to come in and handle some of these cases, or else we could see some delays happening.
Were you referring to Julia Lee, who left? She was a government attorney representing DOJ. She's no longer there. She was complaining how tough it was to get information from various agencies, and told the judge, put me in contempt so I can get 24 hours of sleep.
That's the thing, David, is I wasn't even talking about the Julie Lee situation, but that's a completely separate matter. And definitely her comments, I would say you can't describe them as anything beyond just bizarre. I mean, I think that in a lot of ways, those types of comments are not reflecting in a good way back on the administration, but I don't think that that's the administration's fault. That's an individual person's fault. And that also pertained to a case, I believe it was involving, one of these immigration related matters. So yeah, that's the thing, is like on the ground, the biggest, I think, takeaway that what the administration's been doing is working on these immigration related cases, getting people off the streets who are illegally in the country. But the backstop on that is you have this Chief Judge Schiltz, who, for whatever reason, decided to go and compile what I would kind of call sort of a propagandistic representations, charting out all these different, cases where he was saying, this is where the administration violated court orders. And there's no evidence that they actually violated the court orders. It's just this judge's perspective.
Kaelan, we're out of time. 10 seconds. Where can people follow you on socials?
Check me out on X. It's Kaelan Deese _. That's KAELANDEESE _. Thank you.
Thank you. So informative. We'll have you back, and have a great one. Thank you again, Kaelan.
Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. We'll be back with Todd Wood from CDM Press.
Mama, look. It's just like our new house. Warranty! I hope you have an American Home Shield warranty. Leaky toilet? Fixed. Clogged AC coils? Fixed. Oven beyond repair? Ta-da! If AHS can't fix your covered item, then replace it, no matter its age.
A warranty is smart.
Oh, a happy family. Is that us? Too much. American Home Shield. Sign up today at AHS.com.
Hello, welcome to T-Town. Like men over 40 everywhere. These guys experience a drop in testosterone. Don't worry, it happens to all of us. Some guys took my advice about how to boost their testosterone, and some didn't. This guy got the message loud and clear.
That's right, Nugenix Total T2.
From the #1 selling testosterone brand at GNC comes Nugenix Total T2, a unique new formula that combines the ultimate free and total testosterone booster with a powerful nitric oxide booster that works in just 3 hours. Feel like a new man, leaner, stronger, with more energy and drive. Get your complimentary bottle by texting SURGE to 321-321.
Thanks. It'll make you feel like a new man. And by the way, she'll like it too.
New T2 is not available in stores or on Amazon. Get your complimentary bottle now. Text SURGE to 321-321. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X absolutely free.
Guys, if you plan to retire in the next 20 years, or if you've already retired, I have a message for you that you need to hear. Central banks, BRIC nations, and our allies are pumping trillions of dollars back into America, but every dollar they send could make your savings worth less. Hi. I'm Donald Trump Jr., and I just want you to be prepared for the future. So protect your hard-earned savings with gold. A gold IRA from my trusted friends at the Birch Gold Group offers you the safety net of gold with the tax advantage status of a retirement account. To see how it's done, click the link below to get a free info kit on gold IRAs. This kit reveals why gold IRAs are exploding in popularity, so do it now. What do you have to lose? It's free and there's no obligation. Click the link below to get your free info kit from the Birch Gold Group.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
You know, I've been really focusing on the Department of War, right? Rapid capabilities, Trump's defense acquisition order, getting stuff delivered to our warfighters at speed and scale. And somebody I've gotten to know as new media in the Pentagon, and we've been asking the tough questions, and we've been traveling the country. I just saw him at Fort Bragg. I want to bring on the CEO of CDM.press. Todd Wood, how are you, sir?
Welcome. Thank you for having me back. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I know you're always up on what's going on. You know, you spent 20 years flying choppers, MH-53s, right, for special ops.
That's correct, yeah.
Into theaters, and so I know you know the defense side of things. So it's great to meet you, at the Pentagon in December. And then we saw each other at Fort Bragg about a week ago, and I know you were on the War Room about that. And we interacted with Lieutenant General Greg Anderson, the head of the 18th Airborne Corps, about getting stuff into the warfighters' hands in cooperation with private industry, academia. It's a great thing, right? It's a great attitude, I feel like, in the Pentagon going on.
I am really impressed, and I'm pleasantly surprised, but very pleased at the attitude that we're going to support our warfighters and not just the contracts in Washington, D.C. You and I heard where they're putting industry and academia and the military all in one room and forcing solutions for the warfighter on the front in a period of weeks. He mentioned frangible ammunition. He mentioned drone cases that were very easily carried to the front by the troops. So I was pleasantly surprised. What about you?
Yeah, I put that on my show last week when the Dragon's Lair, members of Airborne, anyone can come up with ideas. They sat in a room and they figured out, instead of having this big drone case, thrown out of the back of a C-130 or whatever, these guys would parachute in with this kit they had designed by private industry that fits the drone right attached to their gear, giving them the initiative on the ground over the enemy in combat, right?
Well, we're getting a lot of, but yes, we're getting a lot of tactics and innovation and just ingenuity coming out of the Eastern Front in Donbass in Ukraine, from netting to protect against first-person drones to all kinds of different ways to try to shoot them down, to protection, to we've seen a lot of thermal gear to protect your heat signature, so you can move around on the battlefield without being seen, because that's what happens, right? Once they spot you, you're almost dead. So it's critical to stay concealed and be able to move. Right now, they can't move. They're holed up. And if they move, they get killed. So it's a big, big problem for our troops.
Yeah, I know that was a focus of yours, protecting our planes. So something like happened over in Siberia or the Kamchatka Peninsula when they bombed all those bombers with drones, right? Have netting protecting our assets. Are we exposed? Are they addressing this?
I think they are. There was a release yesterday. We put it up on armedforces.press about, maybe you saw it, that there's, they put a big pot of money and 25 different companies to try to bid for these different contracts and become innovative. And it's just fantastic. You know, they get it on the ground in the offices of the Department of War all the way up to the Secretary. And I wish we get a lot of that same innovative spirit in some of the service academies and more of the staff level positions, because maybe it was just going to take time to get those people that were training now in the field into those staff positions. We just got a new dean at the Air Force Academy. He's a warfighter, F-15 driver, very smart guy, doctorate and astronautical engineer. And I'm hoping he's going to push out a lot of this DEI stuff in the staff positions and the educational positions in the Department of War, so we can train really good officers going forward.
It's pretty neat stuff. I was at Spacecom Expo in Orlando half of last week, and I sat down with Space Force guys and put a lot of interviews up from defense contractors and the Artemis mission and all this cooperation between civilian and military spaceports from all over the world popping up. We tested this XB-1 boom jet that could break the sound barrier with no noise. It'll revolutionize aviation for civilian and military. Also, hypersonic transports being tested at the Mojave Spaceport, I think. So I sat down with Commanding General, 4-star General Stephen Whiting last week. I played the interview about Space Command and threats in space. And, the Chinese may have a terrestrial laser that can hit low orbit stuff. The Russians may have a WMD in space. There's reports potentially. There's hunter-killer satellites. Other countries have ASAT technology that could shoot down our satellites from the upper atmosphere. And, kind of like we do with the F-15, right? I feel like they're listening to us in the media and really interacting with us. What's your take on this?
Well, we were at Fort Bragg in the seat of innovation for the Army, grunt on the ground. And I did get that impression. You and I talked to some of the same people, and, they were very much focused on us giving them good questions for them to get better. But also, I think there's a trust level there, David, we're not going in there trying to catch them and catch classified information and put it out or trying to make them look bad or give them a headline that gets them fired. I think a trust has been built that we are there to report on what they're doing in a fair way. We're going to ask tough questions, but they're not going to be gotcha questions. They're going to be questions that can actually help our military get better, which is what, journalists used to do back in the day in World War II and before.
Yeah. It's an exciting time with the Trump administration in a second term and what's going on here. It's like you can't even keep up with it. We have about 4 minutes. Tell us about some of the other issues that you're engaged in.
Well, our big, I guess it's how we cut our teeth as a company back in 2019 when we really got going in Ukraine and Eastern Europe. There's a lot going on there. There's all of this information coming out that Zelensky's right-hand man, Yermak, who was his closest advisor, has been involved in some of this, I'll call it dark arts, if you will. And this is coming from the first press secretary that was under Zelensky for 2 years. So this has really thrown the domestic political scene in Ukraine into a tizzy, because it's essentially it's showing them who's been ruling them for several years, and it's really angered a lot of people. So we're focused on that. We're focused on trying to report as accurately as we can on this, getting this war closed down and helping the administration do that, but also the Middle East. I'm going to be going to the Middle East again soon, Lebanon, and maybe other areas, and try to just tell people what's going on the ground, give them all the information. They can make their own decision. We're not going to be rah-rah for either team. We're just going to be providing information.
Yeah, I know last time we spoke, you were concerned about Christian persecution in Beirut, where they lived alongside everybody for a long time. And any updates on that? You're going to wait and see when you get on the ground.
Well, I'm trying to get into Syria and meet some of those people. That's it's not something you can do lightly. So we're working on that. I will be in Beirut and meeting with some of the same Christian leaders, trying to get an update on what's happening. And we'll be reporting on that in depth. And we may go to Israel. Like I said, we may go to Syria. I'm talking to some people in Iraq. These are areas that Christians have been liquidated, essentially. Lebanon is really the only rump state left.
Yeah, and about 250,000 refugees fled Syria, right, when the government was taken down, right, after the 2012 civil war, right?
Actually, it's about close to 2 million Sunni Syrian refugees that are still there. They're being paid to stay there by the UN and by other NGOs. Wow. It's a real problem for the Christian community.
Interesting. I've been following that. I talked to Bridget Gabriel, grew up in a bomb shelter over there under persecution by the Muslims over there. And she's a Lebanese Christian, right? Was rescued by Israeli soldiers. I just wanted to touch on two things quick. We have about a minute and a half. You were talking about devil worship by Yermak, and Medvedev says that Zelensky will be killed.
Yes, if you haven't read Master and the Margarita, it's one of the greatest Russian master novels out there by Bulgakov. And there's a line in the book where this woman is going to clean this flat where the devil's going to kill this guy. And another guy tries to stop him, and the devil says, well, Anushka's already spilled the oil, and that means his head is going to come off no matter what. And so that's what Medvedev said, former president of Russia, this week. And essentially, we're going to get Zelensky no matter what. The die is already cast. So that is something to watch. And also, I mentioned Yermak, Zelensky's alleged homosexual lover, but also advisor, working with water from corpses and making all this magic bracelets, and it's bizarre. But that's who we're dealing with over there.
In about 30 seconds, what's going on in Panama?
Big situation where China got kicked out of the port, essentially by the Supreme Court. So you have Panama moving to use sovereign action against Chinese economic bullying, which is a new tactic. They can't really pay it off and get out from under a lot of these contracts, but they can use their court system to essentially use eminent domain and take back their infrastructure no matter what the economic deal is. This is a big change in Latin America. It's obviously coming with support from Trump, and I'm glad to see it. It's a really good development.
Yeah, there's a sea change going on because that never would have happened under Biden, right?
No.
It's very interesting. Where can our viewers follow you, Todd?
CDM.press is our main site. If you go to the top menu, you can see all our regional sites from the U.S. all the way to the Middle East and Eastern Europe. We've got a lot there to go through. If you just put us in your scan a few times a day, follow our social media, it'd be a big help to us as we grow since we were deplatformed heavily a few years ago. Thank you very much.
All right. Todd Wood, CDM.press. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll have you back when you get back from Beirut. Thank you.
Deal.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care. We love having him on. Just a wealth of knowledge out there. So when we come back, I have Anna Giaritelli from the Washington Examiner. She's a Homeland Security reporter, and we're going to talk about what's going on down at the border and other issues. You're watching Breaking Point on Real America's Voice News. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back.
Freedom to speak your mind. Freedom to protest policies you don't like. Freedom to start a business. Freedom to own property. Freedom to vote. Freedom to flourish. It's easy to take these things for granted, but for many people around the world, freedom is merely a dream, and those who fight for it risk losing everything. Their reputations, their livelihoods, even their lives. Scan the QR code now or visit atlasnetwork.org/rev today to help freedom become a reality for people fighting back against authoritarianism. With your gift of just $19 a month, we'll send you an exclusive Atlas Network hat. Plus, we'll send the print edition of our Freedom's Champion magazine to your door. Atlas Network was founded to help pro-freedom organizations around the world develop, implement, and defend policies that foster freedom against tyranny. Visit atlasnetwork.org/rev or scan the QR code now to help us make freedom a reality for millions of people around the world. Donate $19 a month to receive your exclusive hat.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you.
Call or scan for your free writer's guide today.
Who wants to drag out a bulky vacuum? Introducing Horsepower Duck, a super compact vac with ultra-powerful suction. Clean up that mess in the kitchen, the spill on the sofa, even sawdust in the workshop. Just duck it up. The compact design can reach the tightest places, so store it in any drawer where it's always at your fingertips. You can even store it in your glove box for the ultimate car vac. The HEPA filter helps remove dust and allergens. Plus, it dumps out with ease, so it's ready to clean again. Get the Horsepower Duck handbag for just $39.99. Order right now and we'll upgrade you to the Duck Pro package, a $30 value, yours free. You get the bendable tube, the crevice nozzle, and the soft brush nozzle, but supplies are limited, so there's a strict limit of 3 ducks per order. This may be your last chance to get yours at this low price, so don't delay. Duck it up today.
Call 1-800-693-3440 or visit duckback.com. So call 1-800-693-3440 or visit duckback.com now.
The bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath and Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie cutter design. This is a complete custom build that will fit your every need, and discounts for seniors and military.
Hey, welcome back. You're watching Breaking Point on Real America's Voice News. I'm David Zere. Hope you learned a lot from today's show. We're trying to educate our audience on what's going on without all the hyperbole and everything. You know, we've got great experts on, including my next guest, as usual, Anna Giaritelli, a Homeland Security reporter for the Washington Examiner. How are you?
Good, David. Thanks so much for having me.
You're very welcome. A lot going on. I've been traveling, crisscrossing the Midwest and the South, and, you know, a lot of exciting things going on. One thing I saw was Kristi Noem was in Nogales. Did you get to participate in that?
She was there today with other border officials, the head of ICE, the head of Customs and Border Protection, the head of Border Patrol. And what I'm told is it was a unity tour to look united as a united front for DHS, given the reports that the Washington Examiner and others have been leading about infighting within DHS with career law enforcement officials. But I was not there on the ground. I just got back from Minneapolis.
I understand that because of Tom Homan's efforts and a little bit different strategy, you know, as much as you can get out of some of these blue city, blue governor type situations, that they're making progress around the country. There's something like, I think like 70 new cities that have agreed, because the big problem is they're not holding these criminals when they commit a crime. They're letting them out the back door, giving them lower charges. And they're creating this situation where ICE has to go into the neighborhoods to look for these people, when they could have just picked them up in the at the precinct or at the county jail, right? Have you seen that increased cooperation?
You know, I could speak to Minneapolis, and we're certainly seeing, according to the administration, a lot of progress there. And that was something that the border czar, Tom Homan, had said from the very beginning. If you would just let us in the county jails, let us in the state prisons, and we could apprehend people once their sentences are served or once they make bail, then we don't need to go out into the communities. And so Mr. Homan has had the same message from several weeks ago, before he was the one overseeing this operation in Minneapolis now. And he said today that we're seeing unprecedented cooperation from counties, and they're going to be reducing 700 Border Patrol and ICE, pulling them away from Minneapolis today. So there's still a little over 2,000 there. But it doesn't look like Minneapolis is about to be cleared up just yet. I know my colleague just reported today, Mia Cathell, that 1,000 roadblocks, checkpoints by citizens are going to be set up in Minneapolis, allegedly in the coming weeks. So they're doubling down as the federal government is sort of loosening up and saying we're getting what we want.
Yeah, they're disgusting. They're calling black ICE officers the N-word, and it's like so crazy. I saw that in the ICE protest in the city last year. I got knocked around a little bit over there. I was in the mix because there was all these like spoiled, you're a great woman, but there were all these like spoiled women who came out of the McMansions and went to a liberal college, and now they're protesting wearing the schmata in the street like Arafat, protesting ICE, but there were no Hispanics protesting ICE. And then there were like these, young guys who were really aggressive in the protest. And the police took off their gloves with them, and they were able to do it. But the protesters were calling the cops, who are like 3/4 of them were Indian, Chinese, Mexican, black, women. They weren't all these white guys. And they're calling them the N-word in the street. It's just so disgusting. I just wanted to point that out. So tell what's the latest, Anna? Yeah.
I was going to say 60% of Border Patrol are Hispanic, and most of them are recruited from border communities. So it is not, it's very different than I think the public sometimes is even aware of. But certainly the situation in Minneapolis is getting, I think, getting better results now. What Tom Homan has said is that we're going to be going after specific targets, which under Greg Bovino, they were sometimes just going at large, sometimes going into a Home Depot parking lot and asking people for papers. And that causes a lot of fear in the community. And not that that's not what DHS wanted to do, but there's a better way to do it, Tom Homan said. And so they're going after specific individuals, hoping they can get them in jails. If not, then going into the community. And he said, we're still going to make collateral arrests. So if we go into a home to find a specific individual, there's other people there. We're going to look at their immigration papers. And if we have to enforce immigration laws, then we're going to. But we're not going to be seeing what is so often mischaracterized by other media as, ICE just walking through the streets and grabbing people. They know who they're going after. ICE is always stuck to looking for specific individuals. It's Border Patrol that was a little more liberal in how they were arresting people and finding people.
Yeah, there was two things I wanted to point out. This stupid movie, One Battle After Another, was so brutal. It's like they made like all the Border Patrol like these white men. They're all white men and they're all racist. And I was down on the border, 60% were women and Hispanic, right? So the whole thing's BS. But, we have a situation like on Long Island. I'm a builder on Long Island. I'm in the building industry for like 40 years. And, illegals were living like these landlords, these slumlords. There was a house near me that had 66 illegal aliens living in a house, like a little house. And that's what's going on. So if ICE went there, they would have a field day, right? Unbelievable.
Yeah, I've seen it so many times with what they call stash houses, which is on the border. You come over, you get away from Border Patrol. You don't want to get caught. And what the smugglers will do, will put you in a house they have or an apartment or sometimes like a really low end motel. And they'll put 20 people or so in like a hotel room and say, wait a day, wait a couple days until your ride's going to come. That's going to take you from here to the next city. And then you ride from that place to this place. And, smugglers, I've seen it, and Border Patrol always says this, but people are treated as a commodity. So it's unfortunate. It's terrible.
Yeah, definitely. So you have any other breaking news or any other stories you're working on?
We broke a story last night about the border wall progress. in Trump's first 30 months in his first term, he hadn't built a mile of new wall. And in this first year, they've hit about 30 miles. So by far exceeding where they were last term. That said, the Secretary of DHS, Kristi Noem, wanted to take a victory lap and celebrate that. But we got a memo last night from CBP, which is overseeing construction, that said 100 miles of wall has been held up since December because the Secretary has not approved those contracts. Projects for Del Rio, Big Bend, and Laredo in Texas. And so DHS pushed back strongly, said they don't have the contracts. But the memo we have from, and unfortunately we couldn't publish the memo, but it was, it's from the top administration officials overseeing the border wall. So these are folks who know what they're doing, who are saying this is where it's at. So again, more infighting within DHS.
Are they going to build more section before the midterms in case they lose the House?
They are. They certainly are. They have 46 or 43 or 46, I'm forgetting right now, billion in funding for the border wall. And that includes all-terrain roads, technology underground, cameras that are just incredible. We're trying to lighting, the buoys that are going in, 538 miles of waterborne barrier. So much more than a wall, but certainly a wall is a part of that.
I have a question for you. This guy, Chong Li Tao in Minneapolis, he was wearing shorts and they brought him out of his house to arrest him. He had to walk 17 feet to the car or whatever. They're like outraged by this, this is so dehumanizing everything. Didn't this guy try to sell his own son? Do you know the story behind that?
I believe the last thing I saw was, I believe they were looking for someone who looked very similar to him. And from what I recall, I don't think he had documentation or proof, or there might have been a language barrier. So they took him into custody, brought him in, realized this is not the person, and then brought him back to his home. But certainly my first thought when I saw that, when I woke up every day in Minneapolis, the wind chill was -15. And maybe it's me as a woman. I said, they could have put some clothes on him. It's incredibly cold there. It's an incredibly difficult place to be outside operating in law enforcement, whether you're local, state, or federal, and protesters as well as are out there day and night with whistles trying to draw attention to ICE and Border Patrol.
Yeah,
so
it's got to be very stressful going into that situation for the ICE guys too, right? And there's so many elements going on, and 2 billion cameras.
They're excited to get the body cameras. They're really looking forward to that because, I mean, even with the Renee Good killing, you had the footage that vindicated that ICE officer. He didn't have a body cam. He was using his phone, filming it. And I mean, I spoke with someone else at DHS who said he should have been focused 100% on being able to grab his gun and other things, but he was that concerned about being able to explain in case something did happen. And that was to his benefit in the end. But that's why they want these body cameras, because agents and officers don't want to be holding a video and knowing that, their futures could depend on if they film or not.
Well, it wasn't the first time he would have been dragged by a car or something, so, and he was hit and he did suffer some internal injuries. And anyway, I want to thank you so much, Anna, for coming on. And I'm always grateful for your time. And can I have you back as soon as, we get back on the ground here?
You sure can. I'm happy to join you.
All right, Anna Giaritelli, everybody, Homeland Security reporter for the Washington Examiner. And thanks for all your great info.
Thanks so much, David.
All right. Everybody, hope you enjoyed the show today. That's it for Breaking Point this week. I know you want more. I'm David Zere. I'll see you next week. I got something really exciting going on. I'll be able to share it with you next week. And good stuff. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, welcome to T-Town. Like man over 40 everywhere. These guys experience a drop in testosterone. Don't worry, it happens to all of us. Some guys took my advice about how to boost their testosterone, and some didn't. This guy got the message loud and clear.
That's right, Nugenix Total T2.
From the #1 selling testosterone brand at GNC comes Nugenix Total T2, a unique new formula that combines the ultimate free and total testosterone booster with a powerful nitric oxide booster that works in just 3 hours. Feel like a new man, leaner, stronger, with more energy and drive. Get your complimentary bottle by texting SURGE to 321-321.
Thanks. It'll make you feel like a new man. And by the way, she'll like it too.
New T2 is not available in stores or on Amazon. Get your complimentary bottle now. Text SURGE to 321-321. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X absolutely free.
You push it. You try to hold them shut, but your doors won't stay closed no matter what. Introducing Ruby Monkey Magnets. Ultra-thin magnetic plates that will keep your doors and drawers shut. Just peel to reveal the super strong adhesive. Place the monkey, then the magnet, and close. Installation is that simple, and now you have a door that will stay shut. The secret is the ultra-strong industrial magnet's powerful attraction that holds tight. Monkey magnets work on most surfaces and are perfect for cabinets, dresser drawers, sliding closet doors, and more. Even your outdoor problems are solved in an instant because they're corrosion and rust resistant. Call or go online now to get 8 sets of monkey magnets for only $9.99. Due to rising costs, this may be your last chance to get monkey magnets at this low